Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Sports Time HQ. I am your host, Fernando. Joining with me today is, in fact, my great co-host, Gary. We don't have any special guest stars here this week, but, we still have a great show coming at us. It is the Dynasty Rookie Superflex mock draft. We're going to be going all this month, just doing a bunch of Dynasty drafts. I'm just closing in on finishing one other. Gary's in a couple leagues. We're about to start some of ours, but it's going to be a great draft. Not only that, it's Dynasty season, and then within the next month or so, it's going to be redraft season, and then it all comes into pieces and falls into place, and then we got ourselves the 2025 NFL season. Gary, kick us off. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. That was a great introduction. I'm so psyched for the draft season and what's coming. I mean, listen, the best day of draft, or the best day of fantasy is draft day. So, can't wait.
I'm so excited, so excited. Let's kick things off with some news and notes from around the league. There's obviously not a bunch of news and notes, but OTAs are starting up. And do want to congratulate Brock Bowers. He's not at OTAs, but he's finishing up his finance degree. So obviously he declared for the draft as a junior, and he's trying to finish it up. And, I like that about players. Like, I think obviously NFL is obviously you want to go into the NFL, but you also do want to get your degree, right? Isn't that the whole point of pretty much going to college, going to get your degree?
Yeah, no, 100%. Players should do that more, I think, because, listen, it's so cliche. You hear it every day that, tomorrow's not guaranteed. Well, the same is said for all these NFL players. Maybe, you'll still be alive the next day, but your career could be over, depending on what exactly, what happens. Maybe you tear your ACL and your career's over. I mean, nothing's guaranteed anymore in life. So I love it. I think having a backup plan is the perfect thing to do.
For instance, the injury concerns, like we saw Jordan Travis miraculously just retiring.
Yeah.
We also had someone, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I just saw it. It was a Steelers defensive player, suffered a neck injury last season in the final game of the preseason, and now he's medically retiring. I get you the name of that guy. I'll come back to that, but yeah, I did just see that he was medically retiring, but he was a 6th round draft pick last season. So obviously, you want to get your degree as well. But who is the basketball player? He played, I think, with LeBron James, and also played for the Celtics. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he retired. Or maybe just couldn't find another team again. But he was still a young player. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm not a big basketball nerd, but yeah, I don't know. I just saw a reel about someone coming up to him and saying, "Oh, aren't you this guy? Didn't you play with LeBron James and everyone?" And yeah. So
yeah.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm totally blanking. Delonte West. Delonte West.
Yeah, yes, Delonte West. Played for, I think, the Mavs,
West,
no?
Honestly, I don't remember. He played for the Cavs with LeBron. I don't remember outside of that who he played with, but yeah, the whole story is now he's homeless, and I believe, he deals with drug addiction, and, it's crazy to think that 1 second you're a guy that's, in the NBA playing with debatably the greatest player of all time, and then the next day you're homeless. So
it's sad. I mean, obviously he did spend a lot of his money on helping his family members. So I mean, yeah, but again, too bad they're not looking back out for him a little bit, at least a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. But back into some football, Chargers rookie running back Marion Hampton, he believes that he can create a dominant duo backfield between Najee Harris and himself. Moral of the story is it will be a dominant backfield, but it won't be because of Najee. It would be because of Marion.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that draft spot, or we talked about that landing spot during the draft, and I don't think either one of us were really a fan of it. I mean, I guess
still not a fan of it.
No, neither am I, because I mean, at least just fantasy wise, it makes really no sense. But yeah, I mean, they can definitely be a great duo power backfield. But I just feel like the Chargers could have addressed so much more in that situation.
They very much could have. I mean, Najee, yeah, of course, he's on a 1-year deal, but again, that's something to just keep in mind that maybe by the end of the season, Hampton will be the lead back. Which I mean, we are going to talk about some dynasty rookie draft upcoming later on in the show, but I think right now he's going between the 2 and 4 pick. So again, that's something to keep in mind because that is very high value for
Yeah.
rookie mock draft. Panthers wide receiver Adam Thielen says that 2025 could be his last season. He's definitely winding down in his career, in quotes. I mean, kudos to him because Thielen somehow always finds a way to be fantasy relevant, somehow, some way. And he's always been just a great pass catcher. He can always catch the ball, and he's always a clutch guy, but he's so, I think, undervalued and hasn't been able to find that right team to help him secure a championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. He's been in the league since 2014. It feels like it hasn't been that long. I remember when, you know, him and Diggs were on the Vikings, and Diggs was this hyped up talent, and he was supposed to be the wide receiver 1 there. And then all of a sudden, Adam Thielen explodes for like 1,300 yards. And then he's the wide receiver 1 in that room for a little while until Diggs finally explodes in his last season in Minnesota and then goes on to bigger and better things in Buffalo. But yeah, I mean, he's always been such a really good, solid guy that would suck to see him go.
Yeah, it is. Again, could be. So it doesn't. We ain't ruling out for another year after that. But you know, it could be very well his last, especially if you're on the Panthers. I feel like you age faster. Rams running back Kyron Williams. He in quotes says, "I don't feel like I've touched my peak yet," and this is coming off his back-to-back 1,000-yard season. Again, they didn't really do much to address the running back room there. So obviously we know Kyron will be the lead back again, and there's no plans to make anyone else the lead back or make it into a committee. So again, sky's the limit for Kyron Williams. I think he's just about reached his ceiling. I think he finishes like RB5, RB7 last season. I think he's finished around his ceiling. I mean, RB1 season would be miraculous if he can finish as the RB1 of the year. But I think that might be one of his ceilings is maybe RB5, the highest.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can get up to like an RB3. I really do. That was my guy last year. His issue is just ball security. He fumbles it a lot, and I mean, the biggest thing is like he's gonna have the backfield to himself for the most part. Yeah, they have Corum, and they just drafted Jarquez Hunter from Auburn, but I don't really see either of those guys affecting his touches that much. I feel like they would have used Blake Corum more last year if they were to kind of foreshadow the fact that he's going to be really, really, truly involved in that backfield. But we'll see. I think his ceiling is as high as like an RB3, but yeah, I feel like he's kind of at what his max potential is right now. Probably, I think his ceiling is RB3, but I don't think he'll get there.
Let me ask you this real quick, because obviously Christian McCaffrey is a consensus 101 last season. Will we ever see Christian McCaffrey as a top 5 running back?
Again, you're saying?
Again.
That's a great question. I mean, if he's healthy, 100%, obviously, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna say yes, just because I feel like that's what you should say. But I don't know how much longer he's going to be in the NFL. In how much healthy time he has left in the NFL. I hope a lot because he's the most valuable player in fantasy when he's healthy. But I don't know. Half of his career has been spent in a cast. It sucks.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when he is healthy, he is always putting up RB1 numbers. Now it just comes down to, can he be healthy for a full season? Obviously, he's going right now, I think, third, fourth round, fifth round, maybe. So in a way, it's steal in the draft if he can produce the RB1 numbers. But again, that's really his draft stock right now is including that injury concern, whether or not he will be an RB1 again. And if he does, you got a lot of upside with the draft pick. If he doesn't, you spent a high draft pick, but it's not the 101 that's going to kill you.
Yeah.
So I think his stock right now is not too bad. risk reward type of player right there. But again, I don't know if we will ever see him finish as a top 5 running back. Hopefully, we will. Again, like you said, I feel like you're supposed to say yes to this because of his value. But again, you never know. It just with him.
Yeah.
Let's see. Seahawks. Obviously, there's some big news that's been brewing around this week. Obviously, Russell Wilson was the guy who was wearing number 3 for years and years and years until OTAs came out. And we saw Jalen Milroe have number 6 and Seahawks rookie safety Nick Amenawari choosing the number 3 jersey. And he was stating that he respects Russell Wilson, and he's hoping to show some respect with that number and make it as good as what Russell Wilson had when he was wearing it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I know they traded up to get him, I believe. So shows that they got a lot of faith in him. And I've seen a lot of people, ironically, this is pre-draft, but giving player comparisons to Cam Chancellor, which I don't really see. But it's kind of cool that he ended up in Seattle. But yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to see what he's like, and I would love to see Milroe get a starting role, whether it's now or in a few years. He's one of the guys that I've liked throughout this draft process, and I feel like has just been getting a ton of unneeded hate.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, yeah, you're getting the hate and whatnot, but again, it's not like it's retired. Like,
yeah.
But a number that was retired was actually the number 1 for the Tennessee Titans, where Cam Ward in college, all of college, wore number 1, and that was retired from Warren Moon. Now, Warren Moon was asked in an interview about how the whole process went down, and he stated that at the time that Cam Ward asked him to wear that number 1, he said he would think about it, but at that very moment, his inclination, I think is the word, I don't know, something along those lines, was that it was a no. It was going to be a no. And then all of a sudden he thought about it. But the difference is he was a Houston Oiler when that number 1 was retired. And there will never be someone to wear the number 1 as a Houston Oiler jersey other than Warren Moon, where Cam Ward can start the legacy of the number 1, but with the Tennessee Titans. So I really liked how Warren Moon put that in perspective. Like, again, he wore that Warren Moon number 1, but it was for the Houston Oilers versus Cam Ward for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, that is a cool perspective. I never thought about it like that. And maybe I'm thinking way ahead here, but say Cam Ward does become this Hall of Fame talent and they choose to, have kind of a joint retirement number. So as if they have it up in the stadium, rafters or whatever, it's split kind of like a Houston Oilers jersey with the number 1 and a Tennessee Titans jersey with the number 1. That would kind of be a cool thing that I don't think we've seen yet. So
yeah, we've never seen that. Obviously, there hasn't been much teams that have done something like that, where it's been a former team and especially a good player to retire that jersey. But like you said, you took the words out of my mouth. It'd be cool to just see two like Warren Moon, Cam Ward, number 1, but then the 2 logos on the side.
Right.
Obviously, there's not much other things to talk about other than maybe Sean McVay hoping that Matthew Stafford plays a couple more years. I think they wanted Jackson Dart, like you mentioned, Gary. They were thinking about taking him in the first round until the Giants traded up, and then they traded right back out. I don't know if you saw any video on Howie Roseman, the Eagles GM, during the draft room. I mean, he was trying to trade with so many different teams, and not one team would trade with him.
Really?
One because obviously he's Howie Roseman, he's too good. But 2, I mean, some picks that were like being offered to other teams was like, oh, we have a better offer than you. And then all of a sudden the trade would come out and Howie Roseman would say, well, I guess that's why no one's taking our deals. They're all overpaying here. And then he just kept saying sorry to the owner and everything. He just kept repeating, I'm trying. Hey, guess what? I'm trying. It was so funny.
Yeah. No, I didn't see that clip, but I can only imagine. I mean, you're probably known as one of, if not the best GM in all of sports, and no one's taking your call because they've just seen this reputation, and you're just hot off a Super Bowl. No one's trying to help you, so that is pretty funny.
It's just funny to see. I mean, he still got a good deal with 32 overall
Yeah,
pick. So,
yeah.
I mean, he still has steal. One more thing to wrap up with my news, and then we'll follow up with that news with your news. Browns decline quarterback Kenny Pickett's fifth-year option. Whoop-de-doo. Anyways,
Let's go.
speaking of the quarterback room, though, Gary, you'd like to talk about Shador Sanders, I'm sure.
Yeah, let's talk about the Shadur saga. Not sure if you saw it, but it came out, I believe, either earlier today or sometime yesterday, that Shadur was pissed in quotation marks with the Giants during their interview. It was said that during their interview, Brian Dable or whoever was giving him this interview, I assume Dable was there, um, kind of set him up, which I'm sure they do to all their interviewees,
Mm,
uh, and where like they drew up plays for Shadur to look at, and they kind of messed up one thing in each play, and he was supposed to be able to point out what it was that they messed up or like what was wrong with the certain play. And at times he wasn't able to do that. Meanwhile, all the other interviewees are having no problem with it. And Dable and whoever else was giving the interview called him out, and he didn't like that at all. So just something to, I guess, keep an eye on. But if he does become this, you know, um, sensational quarterback, then I guess there will be. I don't want to say this, but like maybe there will be a different look at how interviews are
mm.
done because this is not the first time we're seeing it. I want to say like the CJ Stroud incident where a lot of people dragged his name down because he didn't score high on that test or whatever it was. Um, but as of right now, he looks like the best quarterback from that class.
I also wanted to follow up with that. I saw some rumors that some top seven teams in the first round approached Shador and gave him the playbook to learn. And I guess when he went to those meetings, obviously the teams were not announced, but again, the Browns were up there, the Giants were up there, Patriots weren't needing one, Jaguars weren't needing one, Raiders could maybe have used it. Anyone else thinking off? Maybe the Titans were number one. But when he approached that locker room and approached the team, and they asked him about the playbook, he came unprepared, and he then started questioning the organization about like how are they going to help him with his strategies and everything, and able to improve himself with the team. And I think a lot of teams didn't like that. And I think obviously there's still so much speculation with the Shador Sanders draft slide all the way to the fifth round. But I mean, it's just little and little things just coming out. Was he too cocky a little bit in his combine interviews? Yes, I believe so. You believe so. And I just seems like he came in thinking he was like going to be the clear cut number one guy. And I think, obviously your dad had a legacy, but you shouldn't take that for granted. And I think he did. And that is exactly why everything went down south for him. And he
Yeah,
ended
I
up north.
also I also think like primetime Deion Sanders is who he is, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying at all that he failed the upbringing of Shadur Sanders. I'm not saying that by any means, but he raised Shadur Sanders how he did, and no one else besides Shiloh Sanders and
Yeah.
Deion Sanders Jr. has been raised that way. And what do we know? I mean, for all we know, Shadur took after this, you know, this aura, I guess, that
Mm.
Deion Sanders portrays, um, and kind of try to make it his own thing. And maybe he's not even noticing that he's doing it, or this is just who he is as a person. Just like how I am as a person, or you are as a person. So um, I honestly want to look past it because I actually think that this is not going to influence his career by any means
Mm.
when he actually takes the football field. But I hope I'm right in that, and we'll just have
For
to
your
see.
Browns' sake.
We'll have to see in a few months.
And a lot of teams were actually hesitant on drafting him so high because they thought that if they drafted him so high as the first round and it didn't pan out, that the head coaches would actually lose their job and
Hmm.
Dion would come in.
Hmm. Yeah, that's crazy.
There's a lot of there's a lot of tea within this
There,
Shador drama.
there is.
And I think it's going to go on for the whole season.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Oh,
Especially
he is the number one selling jersey right now. By the way,
I did see that. Out of rookies, he is.
yeah, let
Out
me
of
say that
yeah,
out of rookies.
out
But
of
again,
rookies,
a
he is.
fifth
No,
round pick.
yeah, yeah. No, obviously, like he wasn't supposed to go in the fifth, but that is crazy. Um, and they've all on NFL social media and the Browns pages. All they've been doing is giving this kid love, which is crazy because it's what the total opposite. The total opposite happened
Mm.
during the draft. So it's kind of ironic to see, but yeah, we'll just have to see. I hope he pans out.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting thing, but something I do hope pans out is maybe Shador does pan out, or maybe he just sucks and he ends up with a sucky organization. But hey, you got a big QB room right there. But not only that, it's time for our Dynasty rookie mock draft. Where Shador will
Sure.
fall is the biggest question, and I've been seeing a lot of mock drafts with Shador bouncing around, and he's been sliding as well in these Dynasty rookie mock drafts. Now, this one is a little bit different. Gary and I picked our positions before the show, and Gary, tell me why you picked number 5, the 5th slot.
Honestly, I didn't put much thinking into this at all. I was just like, what, let me just get stuck right in the middle. I feel like this is kind of a cloudy spot to be in, so
Mm,
I kind of want to see where I'd be drafting from if I were in the spot.
okay. I don't hate it. I know right now I've had a lot of drafts where I'm like 3 or 4, and that's also a foggy area to be in because depending on what your needs are, if you need a quarterback, by all means, this is a super flex league. You can go and get Cam Ward, secure the number 1 quarterback, or do you go for Travis Hunter, who is projected to be another top receiver? And Gary, we mentioned before the draft happened how far down Travis Hunter was being drafted in these rookie drafts to now being a top 3. And I think we've kind of talked about that before the draft, saying that once he is drafted, he will definitely move up into the first round, if not top 5. And we see it now top 3. But again, it's really based on your positional drafting 3, 4, and 5. Do you need a running back? Do you need a receiver? Or do you need the quarterback in Cam Ward? And it's again so foggy, and I think really just based on preference. No.
Yeah, no, 100%. But seeing that, I'm actually in a big dynasty league. I just noticed I finished in what would be the team 7 slot. So I'm actually going to make a move. I want to see how I can draft in this slot. If that's all right
Okay.
with you. I'm gonna make a
No.
change.
Yeah.
I've just traded away the rights to the 5th pick to the 7th, and I've got absolutely nothing in return for it. It was a terrible move on my end. But no, I want to see exactly what I'd be looking at here in this spot.
Yeah, I don't knock it at all. I will say, because I asked you for your reasoning, I'll say my reasoning for the 101. And that's because in all of my drafts, I'm against, like I mentioned, stuck at 103, 104. And I have been trying so hard to get to that 101. And it has been it has been impossible up till this point still to secure that 101. And I've never been a guy to jump up and try and go for that 101, even if I'm at 103, 104. I've always stayed put. And this year, obviously, is different with Ashton Genty. I've never been so big in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Brees Hall was 101. One year I had the 101, so I drafted him, and he's sort of panned out. But Gary, I'm going to read you this trade that I got from a league mate. And actually, first off, I'll give you 2 different trades. 103 and Jonathan Taylor for his 101. Would you do it if you
Wow.
were trying to get that 101?
What spot am I in? I'm the guy that's getting the 101, or I'm the guy that's getting the 103.
I'm the guy getting 101. You would be the guy getting 101. So you're giving up Jonathan Taylor, JT,
Oh, okay.
and the 103 to move up 2 spots. But you secure Genty.
Oh yeah, no, I get what's at stake here.
It's
Damn, that's
tough.
tough.
It's a
That's
tough
tough,
one.
man, because it's like That could be JT and then like Hunter or T Mac or Henderson or
Henderson.
maybe even Hampton falls to you at 3. That's tough, man. I don't know if I would do that. Honestly, I really don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But then
And
again, I
now let me.
might. Like, it's tough, man.
It's so tough. It's so tough. Now let me
That is
ask you
tough.
this one. So you don't get rid of Jonathan Taylor, but this was another one. You'd get the 101 and you get the 202. So you
Okay.
get 2 picks. Right now, going around the 202 is, I believe, Tyler Warren, Caleb Johnson, Colson Loveland, RJ Harvey, maybe Quinton Judkins, maybe. Again, it's a long shot, but he's been kind of flying up. And you would give up your 103, your 108, and Garrett Wilson.
No.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. I get the 101 and 202?
Yeah.
No, I still wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I think
a lot. That's a lot, man.
This is the trade right here. Yeah, I got it right up and ready. But I've been doing a lot of trades in one of my other dynasty leagues. Let me see if I can get any other ones that we've completed. Let's see. Traded away 304 for a 2026 third round, and got the 307 as well. So I moved back 3 spots, got a running back in Dylan Sampson, and next year's third. There was one big one, 207, 208. Traded both of those away and got next year's first round pick.
I wouldn't do that if I'm the guy that's giving up the first rounder.
Well,
I don't think so.
he's the one that offered it to me. But it did come with a cost because I did, in fact, those 2 picks would have been Tyler Warren and Jalen Milroe. I had the 304, I believe, or 303, and I tried to see if any of them would fall. Sorry, Tyler Warren was not on the board, but Jalen Milroe was on the board, and I was wanting to go get him. Lost out on Jalen Milroe. Have been trying desperately to try and bounce back and get him and trade for him, but have not been able to. But again, I think I secured another nice first round pick next year. So
nice.
But yeah, I've been trying to get Ashton Genty, and I have not been able to secure Genty. So maybe in this mock draft, I can secure him. And if that's the only time I can secure him. So.
And so be it.
So be it, right? All right, let's get this show on the road. I wonder who I'm going to pick here. Not Colson Loveland. I almost clicked on Colson Loveland. I didn't realize I went down. Just top guy. Travis Hunter going number 2. That's a big one. You're on the board here. I wonder who you're going to pick here. But again, Genty goes 101, Hunter 102, Hampton 3, Ward 4, McMillan 5, Henderson 6. Gary, talk about your pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it before he was drafted here. I think he was the second best running back coming into this draft. Of course, they drafted Dylan Sampson, which kind of hurts his stock a little bit. But if they didn't draft him, I think he honestly would be a top 4 pick. So I'm totally fine with taking him at 107.
Judkins going 107 is nice. Warren goes at 8, Loveland goes at 9, and Emeka Egbuka goes at 10, which sucks. Would have went with Egbuka here if he was still on the board. Unfortunately, he's not. I don't really like many of the other receivers currently on the board. So I will go. I'm bouncing between Caleb Johnson and RJ Harvey. Again, I was all in on Amari and Hampton going to Denver. I'm not so much into RJ Harvey going to Denver, but I gotta believe. So I will go with RJ Harvey. Caleb Johnson goes right after. Then Jackson Dart, Matthew Golden, Tutton from Jacksonville, and Burden from Chicago going at 6. Gary, 207 on the board. Who are you feeling?
Don't do it. For me, no, I'm not going Shadera yet. No, this is an easy pick for me, honestly. It's a guy that we talked about last week when Dave Kluge was on the show, and I think we all were in agreement that it was a great landing spot for him. I think he's going to be what the Chargers thought Quentin Johnson was going to be.
I like the Trey Harris pick. He's going at 207. I think that one's a good one. Jaden Higgins at 2-8, Scatabo at 2-9, and Milrow at the 2-10 turn.
Oh, he was trying to get
Um,
Milrow. Yeah, there it is.
I just can't secure Milrow. It's been
Listen,
brutal. It's been
draft the
brutal
next
out
best
here.
quarterback.
It won't be Shador. Maybe it'll be Tyler Shuck. Who knows? I'm on the board at 301, and if you can't secure Tyler Warren, maybe try and secure Loveland. I'm not a big fan of Loveland, so by all means, I'm not into it. But Warren is my one. I want to say Mason Taylor is my 2, and that is why Mason Taylor will be my 3-1. Shador does go, in fact, right after at 3-2.
What a steal.
Followed by Beck, Sampson at 4, Shuck at 5, Arroyo at 6, and now you're at the 3-7, Gary. And you got some interesting options,
Do we?
Yeah, there's some. You got Dylan Gabriel still on the board.
Let's go, man.
Will Howard, Isaiah Bond still being drafted, by the way.
I think in this scenario, I would usually go Jalen Noel. The only problem is I don't know what his role is going to be with the team because, they got Christian Kirk and granted, they only got him for a little bit, so they wouldn't mind cutting him if it comes to that. But I think he got overshadowed by his teammate Higgins going there. So I don't know what to think with Noel, but I think at this spot, it's definitely great value. So I would take him.
All right. 3-7 is Noel, then followed by Neal, Royals, and Ferguson. This one's interesting because I've been thinking about Jaden Blue, but I think he could just be one of those guys that's just people overhype and he just turns into nothing. Which I was, in fact, intrigued on this landing spot. Ollie Gordon is a guy I've actually been drafting because I think Devon A-Chain has been doing great, but again, he's been injured a couple times. Quinn Ewers is another good one. Miami with, again, Tua. Will Howard, he's got a good opportunity. I think I can't go with a third running back here, so I will take, in fact, Quinn Ewers. Just because I've been intrigued on the Quinn Ewers landing spot, and I think there's been some interesting ones. And this 4th round has been nothing but quarterbacks and tight ends. Ewers, Fannin, Helm, Gadsden, Evans, Dylan Gabriel, and now you're up at 4-7. A lot of quarterbacks going, can I just say? Crazy.
Yeah. And as much as I don't want to end that train, I think I'm going to. I want to take Will Howard. I actually really do. I think he can be good. I said it, before the season ended that if he got to a good system, which I think Pittsburgh can be, then he'll be good. But I love the thought of Jaden Blue. I don't think Javonte is really good. And, he's been injured a lot in his past. And I think the scheme fit for Dallas is so good for Jaden Blue.
I can't disagree if you're getting him at 4-7. I'm going to be honest. 4-7 is not a bad swing at a guy at 4th round pick. Then Will Howard, Rourke from San Francisco goes at 9, and then Ollie Gordon at 10. Only 2 running backs in the 4th round. That's interesting to see. It's my last pick at the 5-1, and I've honestly been very surprised that he hasn't even been drafted remotely anywhere. So I'm going to just take a swing at him because there is some biasy, but I think there is some true potential with him getting to the field because there's not much potential in front of him or that much threat in front of him.
I know competition. It is.
Kyle Williams.
Yeah,
he's just never being drafted. And it's just I accidentally put defensive players. My fault on that. But I guess it's a defensive league. I guess it's I don't know why there's defensive players going here. That's so hilarious. Can we just state the fact for anyone who's seeing my screen? There's not one defensive player anywhere, and all these guys. Well, I'm not going to name you who people went in front of him, but these guys aren't even a part of teams.
Well, I don't know. We'll look past that, but if I was in this spot, it's a no-brainer for me.
Can we just quickly see? Yeah, I mean, yeah. rookies. I'm looking at this thing. Roster settings. There is no defense. It's just bench slots, which maybe I can see why, but still. Anyways, make your pick.
Well, this is a no-brainer for me if we're in this scenario.
Yeah.
No, didn't let me pick him.
Oh no. Did you get him?
No, I was trying to make a joke. I was trying to take this punter named Julian Diaz because they also have punters and kickers in here as well. I don't know why, but it didn't let me draft him. Oh, that's
my
hilarious.
goodness. That's so funny. Well, we're the only two that did draft a regular player here with the fifth round. But again, the fifth round is kind of just depending on your league. Most leagues are either 3 or 4 rounds. There are some. I have one that's 5 rounds, but again, realistically, a 4-round draft. Say if we cut down the fifth one out the equation, a lot of tight ends are going because there's a lot of potential with a lot of these. Same thing with quarterbacks, but again, I don't know. I just think Jackson Dart at the 2-3 is a little too high for me. Shador at 3-2. I mean, if he got drafted in the first round, he'd probably be a late first round pick. So it's good value, I will say, Gary. Shuck at 3-5 is interesting because he could be the next New Orleans starter. I'd personally be okay drafting him ahead of Milroe, but again, it's a tough one because I love Milroe's talent. Maybe I might have Milroe just one spot ahead of him. One spot.
The only issue is, and I mean, like, I can't believe this didn't go through the Saints' minds. Maybe it did, and they just overlooked it. I mean, Tyler Shuck is about to be 26 in September, and Jalen Milroe is going to be 23 in December. So there's a 3-year age difference there that, if they both became starters, not only do I like the talent level more with Milroe, but he's also 3 years younger. And of course, you could argue that Shuck has the better landing spot in terms of becoming a starter, but I wouldn't think about it at all. It's Milroe for me.
I think what New Orleans was looking at is if Carr cannot start, can we get a guy who is mentally prepared to be a starter right away? And I think Shuck is the guy with the amount of experience he's had versus Milroe, who could use at least another year sitting.
Like, I get it, but like, let's be honest with ourselves. Are the Saints gonna be anywhere near contention? Like, no. So they should just
Then again, we didn't think the Vikings last year were, and look at them.
Well, no, but the thing with the Saints is they're always in the salary cap hell. And I mean, besides Olave, they don't have like any young talent. At least like with the Vikings, like they have Jettas, Addison. I guess Hawkinson's not really younger anymore, but they have a ton of defensive young studs. But we just didn't really think they would mesh well. But notice how I didn't say McCarthy. But we'll have to see with the Saints and Tyler Shuck. That's definitely like going to be outside of Shedeur the biggest thing I'm going to keep an eye on personally, because it's just a joke that he went as the quarterback 3 this draft. But
I mean, it's again Shedeur being at 3-2 too. I mean, he's a guy that could technically be cut. He is only a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Will he? Definitely not. But again, even Tilly Gabriel being drafted, I think is still ironic because, I think unfortunately there is no possibility that Gabriel will be the starter.
Oh man, that's hilarious. I just sit back and laugh as a Browns fan, man. That's all I can do.
If Gabriel was on the board at 4-7, would you have drafted him?
4-7? No, absolutely not.
That's all I needed to know. I just wanted to know if you would give him a chance.
No, I'm drafting Howard over him in a heartbeat. I mean, I don't know how anybody isn't.
Yeah, I agree. I think Howard is – I mean, I thought between Howard and Ewers, but I think Ewers, again, there's still talent there with Ewers, and I think he's just
100%.
in a great
and it's a better spot. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
100%.
Well, Tyreek is retiring soon. Jaden Waddle's there. Jonnu Smith's their tight end. Devon Achane, their running back. Then again, Howard has DK Metcalf, George Pickens, the two that like to cause trouble. Who else? Who else? Pat Fryermuth, let the Muth get loose. Jalen Bourne on a 1-year contract with the tender. Yeah, I mean,
Caleb Johnson
and
just
you got
drafted.
Caleb Johnson just drafted. Yeah, I don't know. There's. I think I'd still pick Ewers, even though Howard will probably start before him, and Ewers could end up being nothing. I think I also drafted Hendon Hooker. Again, it was late in the rookie drafts. And I drafted him just in case Hendon Hooker became anything.
Oh, of course.
Say Jared Goff. Again, Hendon Hooker's just in a great situation with the Lions because he has a lot of fantasy upside with the talent there. Again, will he ever find the field? Probably not. But again, Hendon Hooker at least is the possibility of a Quinn Ewers. Same thing as maybe as Will Howard. But again, Will Howard will probably find the field a lot quicker than Hendon Hooker probably will.
Yeah, for sure.
What would you think about your draft though? In your 7th slot, how did you think it went?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I'll be honest with you. I drafted it with the thought of like me having my team there in the Dynasty league that I had. Of course, my quarterbacks are great. I have Stroud, Baker, and Purdy. So like, I definitely wasn't like quarterback heavy here. Obviously, I didn't draft one. And then my tight end room is actually pretty solid as well. I have Evan Ingram and Kate Otten. So definitely wasn't really desperate for one there. But my running backs are kind of on the older side. I have Henry, James Conner. So I kind of, wanted to take a running back with my first pick, and it just so happened to be Brown. So I was overall pretty happy with my draft, though.
Would you have drafted Henderson if Judkins wasn't there?
You're saying if he had gone before?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. I was curious. I've been bouncing around between Henderson and Judkins in these rookie drafts. Obviously, I think I'm taking Henderson over Judkins, but that's because I'm in hopes of New England slamming their pick. Same thing with probably you with Judkins. You might pick Judkins over Henderson.
Yeah, I mean, no, to be completely honest with you, if you went Henderson first, if you went Judkins first, I wouldn't bat an eye. Like, I think they should be like right next to each other 100% of the time. Like, I don't think one should go more than 2 spots higher than another one. I think they're just gonna be such good backs for their respective teams, and that's why they mesh well. They mesh so well at Ohio State because they just complemented each other so well. So.
How do you feel about Basil Tutton?
He's a lot of Jaguars fans think that they like found this like diamond in their rough. He was all right at Virginia Tech. He led the nation in fumble percentage per touch, so that's definitely not a good sign there. But I mean, he went to a good spot, I guess, because let's be honest, ETN and St. Bigsby, I mean, that's not a tough room to be involved in, especially just with the downfall of Travis Etienne. So, I mean, the spot's nice. Do I like the player? Not really. I think Jags fans are totally overrating that.
I agree. He kind of gives me a similar vibe to Kendre Miller, what we saw getting drafted in the 2nd round of rookie drafts.
I like that.
Before. I was a victim of drafting Kendre Miller because I couldn't figure out of a way to get rid of the pick. I mean, at that point, I didn't need any other positions at that point. So I was like, I'll just go with the best player available. And fortunately, it was Kendre Miller. So I got stuck with him. But again, I think he could just end up being like a Kendre Miller type of guy that maybe he'll be relevant 1 or 2 weeks out of the year. But other than that, that's really it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So I don't know. Going with my guys, Genty, of course, I already mentioned I not been able to get a share of him. I will, hopefully, by the end of this Dynasty drafts. If not redraft, I'm all over it. RJ Harvey, I'm still not sold on, but I'm fine willing to take a chance with the value there, especially going to Denver. If not, it would have been Ibuka. I've been drafting Ibuka everywhere, even though he's fallen in a terrible landing spot. I think there is value there, just eventually, just not the first year. So if you don't need a receiver right away, by all means, go for Ibuka. But other than that, you're gonna have to wait for a little bit.
I was just
RJ
about to
Harvey.
say, I'm sorry to cut you off,
No, go for it.
but I was just about to say, him falling to the 110 is crazy. I completely understand like why he falls, but you know, yeah,
Is this Ohio
years.
State fan talking here?
No. I mean, sure, I guess, but like, if is anybody really saying that Emeka Ibuka should, fall to the 110? I mean, I think that's stupid considering the fact that, coming into this draft, you could argue he was, a top two wide receiver in this draft and has a potential to be, the best wide receiver in this draft, considering all the records that he's broken at Ohio State. But it's obvious why he has fallen. But when you think about it, like, I mean, Chris Godwin is coming off a huge injury. Who's to say that he might not get injured again, or even might not be the same? Mike Evans is probably going to be gone next year if this is what they're looking at in the draft room in Tampa Bay. That all signs point to him not coming back. And I mean, granted, Jalen McMillan just looked great last year, but he's only done it, 8 games, whatever it was that he had the time to do it in. So, I mean, he could easily beat out him. So, if you don't need a wide receiver right away, as much as you may think you might want to attack another position, this is a guy that, could be a league winner in the future.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, in my rookie draft currently going on, I, of course, did draft him, but I drafted him with the 110.
Mm-hmm.
It was at the 110 that I drafted him. But again, I also had, I think, the 104, but I traded back to the 107. So I ended up getting T-Mac as my wide receiver 1, and then I drafted Emeka at 110. So I really wanted a running back. I was actually going to look for RJ Harvey or Caleb Johnson, but they actually went at 108 and 109 in this draft. So currently my draft holds T-Mac 107, Emeka at 110, Mason Taylor at 3.5, Dylan Sampson at 3.7, and Ollie Gordon at 3.9. And I'm currently on the clock, and I have 3 picks left in the 4th. I got some people I'm interested in. Kyle Williams, of course, probably will be my next guy picked, just in case, because there are some Patriots fans in that league. Taj Brooks is another one that fell out of the draft. He might be a guy that's also on my watch list. I kind of want to give Isaac Tesla a chance as a Lions, since the Lions drafted him so high.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's fallen out of the 4th round or just at the very end, why not take a shot on him? He was a high draft pick. Might as well, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's another guy that's kind of like a diamond in the rough that could end up panning out. But again, you're not using much draft capital on him.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I think it was a good draft. No.
Yeah, it was fun.
Again, if you haven't done so already, go use that code down on the screen, SportsTime HQ on Underdog Fantasy. They're going to match your first deposit up to $1,000. Yeah, $1,000. So again, use that code SportsTime HQ. And again, if you haven't done so already, go to TrophySmack.com/SportsTimeHQ. Go get yourself that trophy, ring, or belt. We got to have another listener league coming up. Again, the winner of that league will win a yearly entry into the following year's league and get a trophy from Trophy Smack. Again, if we get a certain amount of sales using that link, we'll be able to give some good discounts for Trophy Smack. So again, use that link, TrophySmack.com/SportsTimeHQ. We got our show coming up this week on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, we are here every single week on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern and on Sundays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, great show this week. Dynasty Rookie Superflex Mock Draft. I was remember my great co-host, Gary. Go follow him all over social media at GDPicks. And I'm your host, Fernando, and we'll see you all on Wednesday.